This is Jim with Harvest Harmonics, and welcome to the Profitable Farmer, to the show where we show you how to become more profitable on your farming operation. We have been doing the show for quite a while now. We offer guests, and if you guys have agronomists or people that are specialists that have really helped you turn around your farm, we'd love to talk to them on the air here. We'd love to get their advice as far as how they can improve and help farmers improve their profitability, because at the end of the day, our success is your success, right? Our success really relies on the fact that the farmers that we serve are having success also. It does us no good to sell a product and sell a service or anything like that if our farmers and our customers are not winning, if they're not actually doing better. Because at the end of the day, the word of mouth is worth 10 times more than anything I can say, 10 times any money we could spend on advertising. And we know that farmers listen to farmers and they listen to universities. So we've launched our campaigns with that in mind. We really want to see farmers doing well and producing lots more money in addition to better quality fruits and vegetables for all of us. So guys, if you are watching this on the live stream here, please feel free to text your questions, type your questions in the comments here. We'd love to talk with you. I would love to discuss what's your successful actions. And really, I'd like to also just offer you guys, if you're on a farm and you're not profitable right now, or you're having struggles or difficulties due to rising fertilizer costs or rising input costs or other things, other problems that might actually be causing profitability issues, then we definitely want to talk with you. In fact, if you're looking to sell your farm, we may be interested in buying your farm, because we are looking to buy a few farms in different areas in order to show that we can turn around any farm with Kimonos plant booster. And we've already done it in a number of cases. In fact, we have testimonials from farmers down in South America, for example, who were giving their testimonials, thanking Mr. Fulvio Valmelli for inventing the Kimonos plant booster, for bringing it to them, because they literally had situations where due to huge fungal problems and huge torrential rains, they would have lost their entire farm. Down there, they don't have crop insurance or everything else. If they lose a year, basically they default on all their loans and they have to sell their farm. And that was the situation he was in. A lot of farmers down there did have to do that. And he didn't have to do that. He only lost about 10, 15% of his overall yield, where everybody else was losing 85, 90%. So can you just imagine if you're in a farming situation and you don't have crop insurance, you don't have that safety net, right? And then all of a sudden, some hailstorm comes around, or some torrential rain comes down, or some heat wave comes around and just destroys all your crops. In fact, I just had a blueberry grower who was interested in using our technology, and before he was able to sort of pull the trigger and use our technology on his farm, he said that he just had this incredible frost damage that basically destroyed his whole crop for the year. And I've been telling him for 6 months, like, dude, you need to get this on your farm. This is your insurance policy. This is going to give you a yield where everybody else is losing their farm or losing money. This is going to give you that resilience that you need to get a crop out even in these conditions. And he didn't listen to me, or for other reasons, he couldn't pull the trigger. And yes, that's exactly what happened. Frost damage that basically destroyed a lot of his blueberries, and he's going to have to start over again. And I hate to hear that. I hate to hear farmers tell me that if I only had your technology, if I only listened to you 6 months ago, I could have saved my crop. I could have had a good year. I could have, had a better year. I could have taken advantage of situations. So I just wanted you guys to know our system is really all about helping farmers. And if you're in a farming situation where you've seen the cost of fertilizer go up two, 3, 4 times what it was. I had a farmer yesterday telling me that his nitrogen is costing $2,000 a ton. Now that's the highest I've ever heard of. I haven't heard anybody saying 2,000 a ton yet. I have heard 1,400. I have heard 1,200. I have heard over 1,000. So we're talking about in just a year to 2 years, the price went from $200 to $300 a ton for nitrogen up to over 1,000. And I know there's no farmers out there who planned on having their input costs triple, but we're in that situation now. So now you're in a situation where your costs just triple. Your sell price isn't necessarily going to triple in response, although we're expecting significant price increases on the grocery side, on the commercial side, on the retail side, excuse me, because of these issues. But here's the other factor. Here's the factor that's just kind of creeping in, and we've been hearing President Biden and other people talking about this, talking about food shortages and talking about fertilizer shortages. And it doesn't have to happen, guys. It doesn't have to be this way. I'm just pleading with you at this point. Just please, come to your senses and let's figure out how we can help you. We're talking to farmers that don't even irrigate, and our primary system is an irrigation device, right? And we're working out ways that we can attach it to sprayers and attach it to people just to help them, just to get them using Kimonos, because when you can actually handle the health of the plant and make plants more efficient, then you can drop your fertilizer usage significantly. You already have a number of examples where we've dropped fertilizer usage by 20, 30, even 50%. Some farmers even telling us they didn't even fertilize their crops this year because when they did their soil test and looked at what the Kimonos is doing, they had enough nitrogen they didn't have to fertilize. Now, obviously, that's going to depend upon your situation, but just take a look at your soil test and imagine if your plants were 2 to 3 to 4 times more efficient at utilizing nitrogen and other inputs. And that's what we're seeing with Kimonos. That's why I've been here every single day. That's why I've been here every single week on the Profitable Farmer, just begging, pleading, borrowing, stealing, doing everything I can do to get you guys to wake up and pay attention to the fact that there is technology, there is solutions out there. You don't have to, take it on the chin. You don't have to grin and bear it. You don't have to become the victim of these input costs. You can do something proactive right now that's going to dramatically improve the efficiency of your farm, and that's going to dramatically reduce how much you're spending on input costs. So if you're kind of mad or kind of like really pissed off about the increase in cost, and you're thinking to yourself, what do I do? What can I do? You can use the Kimonos Plant Booster system. In fact, I want to show you guys here what the system is in case you haven't seen one of our episodes before. And I want to show you why this is so different and why this is so unique. Because again, the consistent methods of agriculture all centers around biochemistry, right? And biochemistry has served us well for 50 to 100 years. But as we can see with the existing situation here, the huge tripling of input costs, biochemistry is not necessarily the best solution. And we've known this for a long time that it's not a sustainable solution because you're continually hurting the soil health. You're continually causing deficits. You're causing microbial activity to drop. You're causing all these different problems, and it's creating these problems that are making it harder and harder and harder to get a good crop out with good yield in any situation. Now, when you see, of course, the tripling of input costs, that just exacerbates and makes that problem so much worse. So let me show you why the Kimonos Plant Booster is a solution that you should be using right now. And you should be doing anything and everything you possibly can to get this on your farm. Now, I've been obviously working with farmers for several years now to get this going. And right now we're in a situation where this could be it. This could be let's save your farm. If you're looking at your farm this year and saying I can't afford to farm this year, and you're just going to plan on taking crop insurance, you don't have to do that. I want you to help you guys get a good crop out this year. So let me show you how you can do that and why this solution is literally the best thing to come across agriculture since the invention of the plow, I think. Um, so Kimonos Plant Booster, again, our mission is really simple. We want to help farmers. We want to also help individuals who are growing our food make better quality crops. That's really our mission here. We want to help people eat healthier, right? Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, agriculture really right now is based upon what we call biochemistry. In other words, you're using chemicals or chemical inputs to improve or influence biological action in plants here. Our system is using the laws of physics, not chemistry, to directly stimulate the efficiency of plants at utilizing the water and nutrients that are available to it. Now, the science actually begins at the cellular level, where we actually had shown, oops, sorry, we showed healthy cells here. We looked at healthy cells of the same type, and we noticed that all cells of the same type all operate according to a very ordered frequency oscillations. In other words, those cells are programmed, genetically programmed, to respond at very specific frequency intervals in order to be able to function as a cell and within a larger organism. When cells are sick or unhealthy, they start to operate at different frequency patterns and they start to actually have dysfunctions and they don't become part of the whole system. Now, just to use human physiology for a minute, imagine if you have a human heart that has hundreds of millions of cells, and all those cells are programmed to beat at the same time. That's why your heart, which has hundreds of millions of cells, can all operate according to a single frequency, right? Because all those cells have their functions expertly and perfectly timed to each other so that they end up beating at the same time. Now, when you have that same situation where hundreds of millions of cells are all operating frantically at different rates and different patterns, or random patterns like you see here on the right, then that causes the heart muscle to stop beating because the individual cells are not organized, they're not aligned to each other. And that's why if you've ever had a heart attack or had something like that happen to you, they take the defibrillator to basically shock your heart and stop all the cells of your heart so that they all come back and they all start beating at the same time. And that's the entire reason for that, right? And it saved hundreds of thousands of lives just by retargeting and realigning the frequencies of, for example, the heart muscle. Now, in terms of other organisms like plants and insects and fish and all these things, every living organism has biological processes that make up its metabolism. For plants, of course, that process is photosynthesis. And the inventor of this technology, Mr. Fulvio Baumelli, had studied plants for over 20 years to unlock the secrets of photosynthesis. And he actually unlocked over 3,000 unique frequency patterns that's associated with healthy photosynthesis and healthy productive plants. So after studying thousands of varieties of plants, as you see here, he noticed that the photosynthesis process also had a very orderly pattern of frequencies. In other words, all those different biological processes that make up photosynthesis all operate according to a set frequency pattern. And that doesn't alter from plant variety to plant variety. When a plant is unhealthy, like you see in the stress, the heat stress here in the sunflower, its frequency patterns will be disordered. And as you can see here, the plant will very quickly die and disappear if that happens. So what our system is doing is resending those frequency patterns to the plants and making them healthy and reboosting their metabolism. Almost like a tuning fork in music will tune a sound wave to the ideal frequency so that you hear the right notes when you're playing an instrument. Our system is sort of retuning those frequency patterns of photosynthesis back to their ideal state so that the plant can operate and generate the maximum amount of energy during the season. Now, the product itself is very simply an irrigation device. It installs onto a farmer's irrigation system. It's very simple to use. In fact, all you have to do is install it, and then our system will do the rest. The cool thing about our system is we can adapt to any farming operation that irrigates. We have situations from 3-inch pipes, 4-inch pipes, all the way up to big 15-inch pipes, and we can attach anything from a small field all the way to a large field here as well on one system. Now, guys, if you have questions, again, just type them in the comments here. I'd love to answer your questions here as we go along. So feel free to stop me if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them for you. The two key benefits of our system is photosynthesis efficiency. We help make those plants efficient at utilizing photosynthesis. And we also improve soil health. We have certain signals in our system that are designed to boost microbial activity in the soil. And that helps those microbes reawaken and sort of start doing what they're naturally supposed to do, which is fix nitrogen out of the air and fix it in ways and sort of recombine it into forms that plants can use, and also extend the rhizome network in the root system to really help those plants contact roots more, those nutrients more efficiently. So with better photosynthesis, what we're seeing is greater, more faster, vigorous growth. We're seeing more fruit and vegetable production, and we're seeing better quality readings as well. Again, as I mentioned earlier, President Biden went on national TV and stated that America and other countries are going to have very real food shortages due to the crisis in Ukraine. And global food shortages are actually predicted for 2022 and going on. Now, I'm hoping that these two countries start to come to their senses and we can start getting along again, because I look at it like what are we really fighting over? But in any case, the fertilizer shortages due to these sanctions placed on Russia are going to be very real. And if you haven't already felt the effects just from pricing issues, you're definitely going to feel the effects on shortages coming up soon. But the good news is the Kimonos plant booster can make your farm super efficient at utilizing water and resources, and that's going to reduce your need and dependence on fertilizer. So if you're worried about paying $2,000 a ton or $1,400 a ton or whatever the price might be, imagine if you can use a third less or half as much. So our system, again, improves nutrient density, plant health, yields, and also reduces the need for fertilizers, as I mentioned. It will be very, very important to maintain this, even in situations where these shortages continue to occur. And again, in some cases, we've reduced the usage by 100%. The first example is actually a university trial that we did where we reduced the fertilizer usage down to 0 on our treated field. The other field did have to be fertilized. We saw a 50% reduction in water use and an increase in corn production by 100%. And that's a lot very counterintuitive because you're thinking, well, if you're not fertilizing, you're going to reduce your yield. But again, the Kimonos plant booster is making these plants super efficient at utilizing the resources and nutrients that are available to it so that you don't have to use as much. In some cases, you can use 0. Here we have 100% reduction in fertilizer again with lentil production in India and a 33% increase in yield over control. Again, this farmer up in Washington State did not irrigate his grapes and still got a 25 on the brick scale for his grapes. Very, very sweet, very high quality grapes that he produced here. Completely organic, by the way. 67% reduction in fertilizer use, which with an increase in bricks on plums in California. 50% reduction in fertilizer use and improved vigor in flowers in Ecuador. Reduction of fertilizer usage and 30% increase in eggplant production in the United States. And also what we're seeing is a better cation ion exchange capacity. So with CEC, higher CEC, especially in clay and other stuff, that'll have a higher organic matter content, and that will attract certain minerals and certain cations, which will make the soil more fertile. Now, obviously, cation ion exchange is one of the key fertility measurements of most soils. And if you have a sandy type soil with the low CEC, this is really going to help you. And that usually means you have to add more fertilizer. Just a case in point of one of the things we saw with this is a 47% increase in CEC on tomatoes in California. Again, here we started at 18.3 CEC rating. The Kimonos field after 6 weeks increased to 21.8, while the control field decreased to 13.3. That was a 65% swing in CEC rating on these soils. We've seen reduction in water usages in a number of cases, anywhere between 45 and 65%. Here we had 300% faster soil penetration and infiltration due to reduction of soil compaction. The farmer said he used 65% less water on his almond trees this year versus last year. And this is actually some of the moisture readings on some of the hydrometer reports that he got back. And that shows you, it's a little hard to see in this picture, but I'm happy to share this with you if you want more information. This farm saw a 46% reduction in overall water usage with 30% increase in yield. When you look at the pictures, you see why here. The Kimonos trees are much healthier, much bigger, more dense canopy here, much greener as well. Here we have a 75% increase in overall yield on grapes with better drought tolerance here on these grapevines here. And I want to play here the testimonial from the grapes as he's walking through here just to show you what this is all about.
About the size of her legs. She is into this saggy, solid thing about this girl. She's hunting it. It's a woman. Yeah. And when I was training people, one of the best ways was to build up their recuperation. We did a hard weightlifting workout. Heavy bag, we'll work out. Almost all the lactic acid from your muscles. Your recovery is so much better. It doesn't matter. There's something about bam. Hitting that bag and the shock goes through your body. It pushes the limb. Really quickly. Much faster than the rebound rate. Right? So if you have arms that are sore from lifting weight, a little bit tight.
So what he's basically saying there is in June, this was June 2020 when we did this experiment, and the treated field had 42 metric tons, where the control only did 24 metric tons, and this was in a situation where the entire region had 30% less water available for irrigation. So there was a water shortage, and all the other farms were decreasing their yield while the Kimonos fields were increasing their yield. So huge differentials there. We've seen also reductions in chemical use. As far as when I say agrochemical, we're talking pesticides here. In fact, a few examples here. We reduced pesticides to 0 here in the treated greenhouse. This is on peppers, and even with no pesticides, we still doubled the production by 100% increase in overall yield there. Here we have 100% increase in production with 100% reduction of agrochemical use. Again, no pesticides, no fungicides used on the treated tomatoes here. Here we have a reduction in use and basically saved the peppers. We extended the growth season by 20% here, so they were able to get a lot more peppers going throughout the end of the year. And that's something a lot of farmers are telling us. You know, it's not just a matter of they're getting more production, they're getting it earlier and they're getting it later in the season, so they're extending their season quite a bit. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because typically, if you can hit the market a little bit earlier than the rest of your competition, you're going to make a little more money. Likewise, if you continue to produce while your competition sort of stops producing and stops shipping, you're going to make more money on that end crop as well, assuming it's good quality. And the Kimonos plant booster is extending that season. So not only do you get more yield, but you get more yield at the times where you're going to be making as much money as possible on that yield also. So with soil health improvements, we're seeing a number of different benefits also. Again, higher content of minerals, higher reduction of soil conductivity, improved microorganisms in the soil, as well as reduced soil compaction. And as I mentioned, farmers are telling us they're using less water with better water infiltration. Here's an example on cherry trees where we saw 100% faster water infiltration rate with cherries down in Chile. We also show, and I showed this because, again, back to our point as far as fertilizer usage. Now, what this graph actually shows, and this is our world and data that I got this from, it's a very, very useful website with very accurate information here. And what you're seeing here is these different color codings represents how efficient farms in these areas of the world are in terms of their nitrogen usage. Now, if you see here on the yellow and the light green here, they're talking only 0 to 20% or 20 to 40% utilization, meaning only 40% of the 20 to 40% of the fertilizer they're using in these regions are actually being absorbed by the plants. Even here in the United States, where you have 60 to 80% improvements, which is usually pretty good, that means anywhere between 20 and 40% of the nitrogen that you're using is not even being absorbed by the plants. It's leaching out of the soil, it's evaporating back into the atmosphere, it's becoming an environmental hazard, and it's money you're just throwing away. You're not actually using it. Now, the thing that should really concern us here, and if it hasn't jumped out at you, I'll kind of mention it here. When you look at these 3 areas here and these 4 areas here that have low percentage here specific. Now, North Africa is one area, but you see over here in Asia where it's 20 to 40% absorption rate. That means that they're wasting anywhere between 60 and 80% of the nitrogen they're using is just being wasted. It's not even going into crop yield. Now, but the thing you have to look at here is this is China, India, Pakistan. These are like 3 very large, very populous countries. I mean, just China and India together make up, I think, over 3 billion people. That's almost half the population is being fed by farms who are using nitrogen and not getting the full result out of it. So we're obviously focusing a lot of our efforts on getting our Kimonos into these areas specifically because we really need to increase that percentage. We can't just keep dumping nitrogen into the soil and causing environmental damage and not getting the benefit from it because we're not getting the food production we should be getting from the amount of nitrogen we're using. So when we're looking at food shortages or at least fertilizer shortages and tripling of nitrogen costs, a big part of that is because farms just aren't as efficient as they should be. If these numbers were higher, if we can get a 10 to 20% higher efficiency rating on the use of nitrogen around the world, then we can actually flip the script and the cost will start coming down. So another reason to use our technology besides your own cost savings is the fact that it's going to really reduce the amount of pressure there is to get the fertilizer that farmers need. And that's, of course, going to help drive costs back down to where they should be. This was another example here. We had a high electrical conductivity in the soil. And we often get this question a lot is, well, I have salty water, I have salty soils, and it's really reducing my yield. How can you help me? Well, the Kimonos plant booster is actually helping to reduce that concentration of sodium in the soil. This is one example where we brought the electrical conductivity or soil rating down from a 2.3 rating down to a 1.7, so from a high range down to an average range. And we also brought the sodium concentration down from a 1.1 down to zero 0.6. So again, from a high range to a standard range. More importantly than just reducing the overall sodium concentration, though, is our technology is going to make the plants a lot more resilient to salt, to excess sodium. And that's going to be really, really important. Now, again, this is also from Crop Watch here. It says as the electrical conductivity increases, soil microorganism activity decreases. And that affects obviously soil respiration, residue decomposition, nitrification, and denitrification. So all that whole nitrogen cycle that happens in the soil is being affected by overuse of nitrogen and high ECs. Now, if you have sandy soils or arid soils and those types of things, you probably have a CEC issue. I'm sorry, an EC issue, an electrical conductivity issue. Areas like Israel and the Middle East and North Africa, they're all hurting because of this. And our system is helping a lot of those growers right now. So high sodium soils have poor soil structure and poor infiltration or drainage, as well as increased toxicity, especially with sodium toxicity, and it will indirectly indicate the amount of water and water soluble nutrients. So it will actually make water, it will make you need more water. In other words, if you have a high sodium or high EC in the soil, it's going to mean you're going to have to use more water to water those crops in that type of soil. Now, again, our system is helping to bring down EC, help the microbial activity in the soil increase so that you see more organic matter and other types of soil components and really help improve the overall health of the soil as well. A few more examples here. Dragon fruit, again, doubling the growth rate, reducing fungus, doubling the growth rate here, doubling the growth rate here. I mean, we have a number of different examples on a wide variety of crops where we're seeing tremendous differences in yield, tremendous differences in root structure, tremendous differences in overall health and quality of the plants, reduction of nematodes, tolerance to heat and cold, and a wide variety of different insect and other differentials here. But at the end of the day, guys, it's a real simple equation. If you guys want to make more money, you want to be more profitable, then you should be using the Kimonos plant booster. If you want to help rebuild your soil and re-improve the microbial activity in the soil for a more sustainable solution, you need the Kimonos plant booster. If you just want to reduce your input cost and stop paying through the nose for fertilizers and other inputs, you need to be using Kimonos plant booster. At the end of the day, our system is going to make farmers super efficient, and we want to increase the efficiency of farms around the world by an overall factor of at least 10 to 15%. If we did that alone, not only can we feed everybody around the world all the way into 2050 and beyond, but we can spend a lot less money doing it, and we can have better quality fruit and vegetables for everybody. So I think that's a win-win-win. You can make more money, you can produce better quality food, everybody gets to eat healthier, everybody has a healthier environment, and at the end of the day, we just have a more efficient farm. That's what we're trying to do for farms. Again, if you want to do something about this crisis, if you want to be proactive and improve your farm now, then check out our website, go to send us an email, or go ahead and give us a call because we want to work with you. Again, my name is Jim Kurtz with Harvest Harmonics. I look forward to hearing from you guys very soon, and I look forward to helping farmers get more efficient and produce more with less inputs. If that sounds interesting to you, please give me a call or send me an email. I want to work with you, and let's get you started this year so you can start seeing the benefits of the Kimonos Plant Booster.